All right, well, good evening, everyone. I don't get to say good evening many times at chamber meetings. I'm usually saying good afternoon for that lunchtime, but it's great to be here in the evening. Cuyahoga Valley Career Center, referred to as CVCC, that's our acronym, has been here for 50 years. So if you think back to 1971, that's when we first opened our doors. So you think about 50 years. What comes with 50 years? Well, let's be honest. I got a little gray hair. I have aches and pains I normally didn't have 10 years ago. I also need readers now to read the small print. But with that 50 years, what it really brings is the good side, experience. We know after 50 years of doing this type of training that we're doing it the right way, and it's bringing what we need to the community. Focus, a lot of noise out there in training. We don't focus on the noise, we focus on what's good for our students to get them ready for adulthood and to enter the world of work. And lastly, which I think is really the most important part, and we're going to focus more and more on this, is the understanding of what's important in life. At 50, you start getting that. It's not about a standard of curriculum that you read from either the state or even our own curriculum that we write internally. It's the reality that students come to us with different needs. And we may have two students that come to us in our automotive program, and one is going to be an ASC top-notch import car technician. That is a very different life expectancy than a student that comes to us who wants to work in their dad's auto shop, and we know that they're going to start off just sweeping floors and running to the auto parts store. We have to deliver something very different to both of those students, and 50 years has brought us the knowledge and the understanding to do that well. We focus on 4 pillars, so this is what we deliver to our students to give them a competitive advantage. We offer college credit. Every one of our programs, you have the opportunity to earn college credit towards an advanced degree. We align directly with Tri-C, so we're talking, we're kind of that beginning tip of the iceberg training, go on for a 2-year associate's degree. The second advantage is certificates and licensure. So certificates is something that's great to have to go into a career. A licensure you have to enter that career. So in nursing, you have to have a license. If you're going into a machine shop, you get a certificate. Huge advantage for our students. They'll come out with those certificates and licensures. Today we talked about cosmetology. Not everybody knows that when you graduate from our cosmetology program, the day after you graduate, you can go to the state board and take your test. And if you pass, you're a licensed cosmetologist right out of high school. The third advantage is work-based learning. We're finding through our surveying now that our business and industry partners, the number one thing they want to see in our students, they want them to have on-the-job experience when they graduate. So all of our programs have some aspect of that experience for the student in the workplace, working on real-world equipment. So we're going to continue to focus on that, and that'll become more and more of a prevalent process as we move forward. And last is what we call our career and technical student organizations. So that's our athletics. We don't have the football team playing Friday. We have our Skills USA Club. So our students compete locally in our building. They go to regionals, they go to state, and they go to nationals in the skill set they're learning. So if you're in our automotive program, you're learning that skill, you will actually compete against other students fixing technician problems on a car. I mean, it seems really cool when you see them at those high levels, but understand that competition, what it really does is it builds confidence in the students. It gives them leadership ability. They learn how to present in front of an audience. So when they come to work for us locally in our local businesses, those are the same soft skills employers are telling us they need out of our young people. This year I'm focusing a little bit off of these pillars. So I gotta get a image in my mind. Is this a Greek pillar, or is this the pillar on a front porch of a farmhouse? I'm more of the farmhouse guy. So I think about the foundation underneath. So this is the competitive advantage for the student is great, but what is it about what we do that gives them that competitive advantage? First and foremost, I mentioned the advisory and the partners. So every program we have a team of industry people that tell us, how do you get our students hired, internships? What are the skills what's changing in that industry that maybe we should change our curriculum because that's what's going to make our students employable. The second advantage is our environment. Our students are learning in lab spaces that are similar to the lab spaces that are out there in the real world, and they're using that real world equipment. So that environment is a huge advantage that we have when we educate students. Immersion learning. The example I can give to this is when you think about your high school experience, if you had that same phys ed teacher for 4 years, or you had the same choir or band teacher for 5 or 6 years, you build a relationship with that instructor, and that's what we have at CVCC. When you come to us as a junior, you're with us for 3 hours a day with that same instructor. Come back your senior year, 3 hours a day with that same instructor. So you build those relationships, and then that's what really gets really high quality learning happening in that program. And then the last is what I revert back to with that understanding is one of our things that we get with 50 years of experience. But for the student, it's quality of life. So we're not there just to pass a standard, get them to graduation, send them off on their way. Our focus is to say, look in our community, what job is available for that student so that when they graduate, they have a work placement. They can go on to a 2-year degree if they want to advance on that workplace, and ultimately they become a quality member in our community. And that's what I'm really going to focus on for the next 10 years is I'm going to call it skills first, which means there are a lot of great jobs in our communities that our students should aspire for at a young age. Not, I think I'm going to go off to some out-of-state college, and then they matriculate their way back. Let's show them what we have right here in our community so they aspire to be realtors or clerks at the county court or whatever happens. These are great jobs and they come back anyway. Let's show them those right off the bat. So that's really where it comes down to those 4 foundational pieces that we put together. So that's kind of where I want to end. I don't, there are all kind of great things going on, but if you have questions, happy to answer them. I just think that's what really, as I get into my 50s, I start to realize that this is what it's really about, not a standard on a piece of paper. So questions for either Joe or I, or we can go from there.